Hi everyone, it's Janet with Fruit of the Vine Art Studio. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Saturday. It's one of the first Saturdays in spring, and it's about that time of year that the dogwoods are in bloom. So today we are going to create a dogwood tree. Last time we were together, we created this lovely dogwood flower. I'm going to show you a very easy way to create a full dogwood tree in bloom. Okay, and you're going to need a couple of cotton swabs to do it. I'd say at least 4 cotton swabs, if not a few more. Sorry it took me so long to get on this morning. I was over there in the kids club doing some stuff. We painted the Easter bunny this morning. Isn't that adorable? We had a great time doing that. If you're not in the kids club and you're interested, send an email to shareitj@gmail. That's SHERRITTJ. shareitj@gmail.com. We're always looking for more kids to join in on the fun. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we are going to paint this tree. And what I want you to do, I'm going to use a few different colors here, and I'm going to do something a little different too to mine that I know that you're not going to be able to, but my friend Carol sent me these absolutely beautiful decoupage papers, and I'm planning on using one of them on this today. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Isn't this beautiful? I do love that. I think that's so pretty. It's got that crown on it. It is so pretty. But inside of it, whoops, there it goes. Let me grab that one. Inside of it, oh, that one's cut off. Here, this one's perfect. We're going to use that. We have this beautiful piece of very thin, like vellum paper, and I don't know if you can see through it. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And that is John 3:16. I am going to put this piece of decoupage paper on the side here on my tree. I think that'll look really pretty there. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make a blue background. So I'm going to start, let me keep this over here. I'm going to start by getting me some light blue. That's where I'm starting at, with some light blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some on my, I don't need a lot. Just going to put it right there on the canvas itself. Just squirted some light blue on there. And I am going to do a really quick technique that I find this to be very easy and very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use an old paper towel. Let me tilt you down a little bit. I'm going to use an old paper towel. Ooh, there's my coffee. Almost forgot about that. I love coffee. Excuse me. I'm going to take this old paper towel here, and I'm just going to use it like I would a brush to fill in the entire background of my painting. Oops. If I can hold it still. Now that's just a really, really quick, easy way to get a background on a piece of canvas. Very simple, very quick. And it dries almost immediately so that you can begin work. Oops. Let me get this and pull it a little better. I want it to go straight across all the way. There we go. Very simple. Now my entire background is already done for me. And I'm just going to take this. Now you can see I've used this before. I used this the last time when we created the dogwood flowers. I just let that dry, pull it apart, and then I reuse it for a different color. Why waste the paper towel? I'm going to continue to use it as much as I can. I'm going to zoom you in here a little bit. Tilt you down, and that way you'll be able to see what I'm doing here today. There we go. Let me pull that up right there. And that way when you hop on, I'd love it if you could say, hey, tell me where you're watching from. I'd appreciate hearing from you. Okay, good. I can see that very well now. Very well. All right. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get a little bit of black and a little bit of white, and I'm going to use my little flat brush, and I'm going to create the tree. Whoops. My black's top's about to break off. But that's okay. I do refill these little bottles over and over again with other bigger bottles. So the top gets broken because I turn it upside down and then bam it real hard, and sometimes the top's in the way and I'm not paying attention. Come on. Get down there. There we go. Get me some white out. Okay, and I'm also going to be using a little bit of green for this too. I'm going to have a grassy area down here for it. But to start with, I'm just going to mix a little bit of black with a larger portion of the white. Just get a little bit of black, just a little bit of black, and I'm going to mix it in with this portion of white right here to create a gray. Now I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to get just a little bit more black. This is going to be my tree. Something about like this. Right there. Okay. Now, if you listened the last time, you heard me tell the legend of the dogwood. At one time, about 2,000 years ago, the dogwood was a large, stately tree that lived in the forest. It lived with the cedars, and it lived with the oaks, and all of the big, stately trees at that time. And it itself was a tall, sturdy tree that had a very hard, fine-grained wood, and it was very much a desired wood at that time. They were always looking to get some dogwood to create stuff with it. It was an extremely desired piece of wood at that age, at that time. The tree was tall, it was straight, it was sturdy, and they used it to make all kinds of stuff. Now, it was also known that that tree was used to make crosses for crucifixion. And that is what they used when they made the cross for Jesus. Jesus could feel the anguish that that tree felt for being involved in that. And God decided at that time that the tree would never be used for that ever again. And ever since then, the dogwood tree grows like what I'm doing right here. It's a shrub-like bush that has crooked, twisted branches. You can't use it for any type of building anymore. It's not meant to be built with. It is strictly a tree for show. Now, back 2,000 years ago, it didn't even bloom. But upon the third day after the crucifixion, when they rolled away that rock, and they found that Jesus was no longer in the tomb, but had risen from the dead and was now up in the heavens, the tree burst into bloom. And it has bloomed ever since. Ever since that time, the dogwood blooms around Easter. So that's just a little legend for you about the dogwood tree. Now, there was a promise made that it would never be used for that again. And in that promise, it included that the tree would bloom, and the blooms would have 4 petals. And of the 4 petals, 2 of them would be slightly longer, and 2 of them would be slightly shorter. And that would represent the cross. And at the edge of each flower, there would be an indentation from where the nail had been driven into Jesus's flesh. And that nail dent at the edge of each of those would also include a tinge of red blood to represent the blood that was shed by Jesus. In the middle of that beautiful flower, there would be a crown of thorns to represent the thorns, the crown of thorns that were put on Jesus's head. So when you look at the beautiful dogwood in bloom, I want you to remember the legend and what the story represents in itself, okay? So that was just a little story for you here today. Where did I put my Q-tips? Here they are. So now what I'm going to do, that we've got our little tree drawn here. Now we'd like for the tree to have some shading to it. So let's get a little bit of black and get us a little bit of that gray and make it a little bit darker. We don't want it to be pure black. Just slightly darker. And we're going to just take it and bring it along this side and maybe just put a couple of lines of it through here. Then we'll take it and move it along this side over here. On the top edge, we'll find a few other darker looking limbs just for shading. We'll put a little bit of this darker right in here, and a little bit of it right in here. I'm not going to worry too much about the top because this part is really going to be blooming up here, and you'll see that in just a moment, what we're going to do. But I just want to give the tree a little bit of shading in there so that it doesn't look so plainy Janey. Maybe put just a little bit of dark up in here for spots, because those will show a little bit. Okay, that looks good to me. So now I'm just going to put my brush in the water, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take 4 Q-tips. I want you to get 4 little Q-tips, and I want you to hold them together, just like this, and I want you to get into that gray paint. And we're going to take it and dip into the gray paint. And then we're going to take it and we're just going to loosen up a little bit. Don't hold it so tight that it just makes the blob. And you're just going to take them and dot them onto here, okay? Get you a little more white in there if you want. And we're not going to put the gray everywhere, okay? We're just putting it in some spots where there's going to be a little bit of a darker area for it. So we'll have some shading in our tree. Very simple. Going to turn these over now. And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go straight into the white. And don't hold them so tight that it makes one big glob. You want them to be a little bit loose, just a little bit loose. Dip it in the white, spot it off a little bit over on the side of your paper plate, just a little bit, and then you're just going to get some dots. And little clusters of 4. Sometimes you got to press a little harder to get them to actually imprint themselves. Try to leave some of the gray showing through in the background. That got messy there. Then you get 4 different ones. If it gets too messy, then just switch up and get you 4 different ones. There's enough paint right there that I can just dip into that. Kind of spread it around a little bit to where it doesn't look like a big glob now. You want them all 4 to show, so you might have to press a little bit. Okay. I think our tree looks pretty much in bloom, doesn't it? I think so. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take just one, and we're going to get just a tinge of red. And we're going to pull off most of the cotton, where it'll be a little easier controlled. And we're going to dip it in the red. And then you're just going to, wait a minute, let me get this little hair off of there. Dip it in the red. And then we're just going to put some little spots near the edges of the white. Now you don't have to, these are small spots, so you're wanting these to be smaller. That's why I pulled off a lot of that cotton. You want these to be just little, small, red little spots, just little red spots on the tree. No. Just adding some spots with the Q-tip. And they don't have to be all four exactly around each other. You know, it doesn't have to be that way at all. You're just adding some here and some there. Smaller red spots. Just to represent where some of those blooms, you can see the edges. And if it's a little bit hairy looking, don't worry about it, because you know the tips of the branches or of the leaves are indented anyway. And see, I'm just kind of adding just little splotches. I'm not even attempting to get to the edge of where the white is now. I'm just adding little splotches of red. Very small splotches. And I don't want it to be too dark, but I want it to be dark enough to be seen. Can you guys see the little splotches? I hope so. See how I'm just touching the red? Just touching it around. Just touching it around it. Just add a few more. A couple more here and a couple more there. What's making that noise? That cup touching that box. Sometimes I wonder, what is that? What's that noise? What's cracking that noise? What's making this noise? What is that? There now, just by adding just a few little indications of the red, we've got our tree all in bloom like a dogwood, don't you think? So now we need to add a little bit of the crown of thorns to our tree. So for that, we're going to peel off this side, take a lot of the cotton off of this side, and we're going to get a touch of yellow. Ooh, that's more than I intended, that's for sure. Just a touch of yellow. And we're just going to kind of dot it in some spots so that we have that little bit of a crown of the thorns look too going. Just some little spots of the yellow. Here, there, just in different little areas. It doesn't have to be everywhere. It's just an, I'm going to get some of that where that's a little thicker there and put it over here and put it over here and add some over here. Now we do have to add a little bit of green in there too, don't we? Because as we know, there's going to be a little bit of green on the trees. Just a few little spots of the yellow in a couple of different areas. Here and here and here and here and one there and there and there and there and there, 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 guys, there, everywhere, everywhere. Here's there and 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 there. So now we've got the crown of thorns going on in the middle of our little flowers. And all we're doing is using some cotton swabs. See how pretty it looks when you get it up close? All it is some cotton swabs. That's all we're doing. Very simple. Very, very simple. Now let's get a little bit of green out. Okay. I'm going to take one of these other ones that I had the white on. Get me some green. Oh, he's going to be floppy. I'm just going to peel that off. Okay. Get us a little bit of green here. And we're just going to dot it in spots too. Just dotting in some green. Little leaves growing here and there, because you know the little leaves are blooming around the tree too. So the tree's going to need a little bit of green in it. Get me a little more. Just adding it in all kinds of little spots. And spots where I see like more of the blue back here, I'm just making it a little greener looking. Not that you want to fill up all the blue, because you don't, but the tree itself is going to be more full in the background. You'll still see a little bit of blue through there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Put a little green down here around the bottom. Little leaves sticking out in different directions. Around the top. Now, does it look just like a dogwood? No, it doesn't. But it looks pretty good for a dogwood, doesn't it? For what we're doing here with just some Q-tips, just poking around. I think I'm going to put a little bit of green right in here. Just a little bit in that area. Just to darken it up a little bit in here. But you still see all the pretty white blooms. There. I like how that looks right there. I think that looks really pretty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing that I was using before to make the sky, and I'm going to get some of this green on this side here, and I'm just going to bring it across the bottom here just to get the green color on it real quick and real easy. Using my paper towel, I can make grass. Tilting it sideways. Let me get it. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Darken that up a little bit right in here. I'm just making like textured look now just by patting and tapping and tapping and patting. Giving it more of a thicker, grassy kind of feel to it by just taking the paper towel and just patting it in and tapping it on. Make it a little bit darker right here underneath the tree. See how simple this is? It really is. It's so simple, guys. Makes it so easy. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim around this. Around this wording. There. I'm just cutting around, sort of in a circle, not exactly, but kind of. And I'm going to add this pretty wording right there. And then I'm going to use a little bit of blue and bring it in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my Mod Podge and open it if I can. If I can. Use my scissors to get underneath it. That might not help. I think I heard it. There we go. Boy. Need to go run some hot water on that and get all of that off of there. Obviously, you should always wipe that off. And I don't. And I don't. Obviously. So now I'm going to take this. And I think that this wording is perfect for this. It goes right along with the dogwood tree. You know, the dogwood itself. The beautiful blooms, the time of year that it's blooming. And what it all represents. God's willingness. And Jesus' willingness to go to the cross for us. For us. Hey, Steve. Thank you for commenting. I so appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm just going to rub some on it. And then I'm going to take it. Just lay it on here. Take my hands and smooth it down. Might have to put a little more on this side. There we go. Oh, it's getting a little wrinkled there. Let me push it out. I'm just taking my finger and pressing it into it. Trying to see that my fingers got paint all over them too, so that's a problem. Just going around the edge to see if any of the edge will pop up, and if it does, and I'm just going to get a little bit of Mod Podge on it and push it back down. Like right there, and then we'll just push it right back down. There we go. And then to blend that in just a little bit better, I'm going to take my finger and rub it a little more. Press it down on there. Here, wait a minute, did that come up? Yeah. Let me get a little more Mod Podge under it right there. Ooh, don't do that. There we go. That's what I want you to do. I can see little spots, so I'm just kind of moving it on it there. Okay. Put the lid on my Mod Podge. And then I'm going to get me another towel. And I'm going to get me some of that light blue. Tap it off a little. And then I'm just going to blend it in a little around the edge. Just work it in there. Getting a little more of the blue on the top of it as I'm going. Don't go over the wording, of course. Work it around the edge. And yeah, you do see it. I realize that. But we're going to darken up the background a little bit too. Excuse me. I'm going to get another drink of my coffee. Yes. I need that, you guys. That's like the elixir. The elixir of life. A little bit of coffee. There we go. Just bring this down around here. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this paper towel. I'm going to get me some of that light blue, and I'm just going to splotch it in places. Just dot it and splotch it and splotch it in places, okay? Just to have the sky have a little variation to it. Hey, Carol. Yeah, this is just one piece of that. That's right. I'm going to use it in many different ways. That's what I thought to myself. Just thinking about that dogwood made me think about what you had given me there. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty perfect for this, actually. I got some green in that, so I'm going to turn it over. Not use that side. Go over here. Okay, that's better. And then I'm just going to get that red of the red out of there. And I'm just going to add some splotches around here so that the sky doesn't have that flat, uniform look to it there. Need some of the splotching to be near this edge too. There now. Maybe put a little splotchy here. A little bit darker right there. Don't want to cover my wording. I think that worked out pretty good, don't you? Then we can do a little bit of white. There we go. And I'm going to use a cotton ball. A cotton ball for this now. I'm going to dip it in the white. And I'm just going to add a couple of little clouds in the sky. Using that white cotton ball. Bring it across a little bit. So there we've got it, creating with cotton. How to create tree with the cotton swabs. We'll create a couple of clouds using a cotton ball. Just some different clouds in the sky. Just giving it a little bit of a different look. It's so easy to do. You're just taking the cotton ball and just patting it around. Maybe we'll put a little cloud or two right here. Just to give our sky just a little bit more going on in there. Now what do you think? I think that turned out really cute. And so simple. So simple to do. All right, guys. I think I'm going to stop right there. Leave it at that. I love how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you again if you're with me on Tuesday to paint the spring bike. I will see you then. If not, I will see you on Wednesday. You all have a great week. Bye now.